Good evening, Mr. Bond.
Blofeld.
Change to occur by means of one's will. The sinister reputation attaching to it is entirely...
Charles Gray. Whether playing the menacing Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever or the aristocratic Mycroft Holmes, Charles Gray exuded power and elegance. But unlike many of his Hollywood peers, he never pretended to be someone he wasn't. Gray was openly gay at a time when few actors dared to be. He lived his life freely, avoiding the traditional Hollywood traps: no fake marriages, no scandals, no whispered denials. While this may have cost him leading roles, it also gave him a quiet dignity that many of his contemporaries lacked. Though never a household name, Gray left an indelible mark on cinema. He played villains and masterminds, men of mystery and intrigue, fitting for someone who, in real life, remained a mystery himself. But to those who knew him, Charles Gray was simply a man unafraid to live his truth. Tony Randall. For decades, Tony Randall played the fussy, lovable Felix Unger in The Odd Couple, delighting audiences with his impeccable comedic timing. But off-screen, Randall's personal life was a script Hollywood never dared to write. He spent his career as the ultimate straight man, both in comedy and in public perception. Married to a woman for 50 years, he dismissed rumors with charm and wit. Yet those who knew him whispered of a different truth. Randall was a man of deep friendships, private affairs, and a life carefully lived between the lines of what Hollywood allowed. In the end, he never confirmed nor denied. Perhaps he believed the mystery suited him. But one thing was certain: whether playing Felix or living his real life, Tony Randall was always a master of performance. James Mitchell. Before he became the cunning Palmer Courtland on All My Children, James Mitchell was a dancer. Moving with grace, passion, and a secret he couldn't share. In the 1940s, Hollywood adored him, casting him in musicals like Oklahoma and The Bandwagon. But being gay in the Golden Age meant keeping quiet. His relationships remained in the shadows, his love life an offstage performance. It wasn't until later in life, when television embraced him, that he finally found stability with his longtime partner Albert Wolsky, a famed costume designer. Mitchell never made a grand statement, never sought headlines, but he lived his truth quietly, elegantly, just like the roles he played. And in the end, his greatest love story wasn't on screen, but in the life he built away from Hollywood's harsh spotlight. Montgomery Clift. He was the man who made James Dean and Marlon Brando possible, the original tortured rebel, a heartthrob with soulful eyes and a hidden sorrow. But Montgomery Clift's greatest battle wasn't on screen. It was with himself. Rising to fame in A Place in the Sun, 1951, and From Here to Eternity, 1953, Clift was Hollywood's golden boy, sensitive, brilliant, and unlike anyone before him. He had affairs with men in secret, while studios forced whispers into silence. Then in 1956, a car crash shattered his face, mirroring the pain he carried inside. Addiction consumed him. By the time he died at 45, he was a shadow of his former self. Some called it Hollywood's slowest suicide. Others say it was a man who simply ran out of places to hide. George Maharis. In the 1960s, George Maharis was the ultimate rebel, dark, brooding, and dangerously handsome. As the star of Route 66, he captured hearts across America. But behind the wheel of Hollywood's hottest TV show, Maharis was steering through a far more dangerous road, his own truth. At the height of his fame, Maharis mysteriously left Route 66, citing health issues. The real story? Rumors of his sexuality were beginning to surface. In an industry that demanded its leading men be straight, Maharis refused to play along. He kept working, but the roles became fewer. And when he was arrested in a scandalous encounter in 1967, the industry turned its back on him. Still, he never apologized, never hid. His career may have suffered, but George Maharis lived life by his own rules, no matter the cost. Rody McDowall. From How Green Was My Valley to Planet of the Apes, Rody McDowall's career spanned generations. He wasn't just a star, he was Hollywood's trusted friend, its quiet confidant. And behind that kindness was a man who knew how to survive. McDowall never publicly addressed his sexuality, but he didn't need to. Insiders knew, yet Hollywood adored him anyway. He avoided scandal, played the industry's game, and built a lasting career, while others faded away. His secret? Control. He kept meticulous records of Hollywood's elite, an archive of private photos and knowledge that gave him an untouchable status. When he passed in 1998, there were no shocking revelations, just a legacy of elegance, talent, and quiet defiance. Rody McDowall never had to come out. He simply existed, on his terms, in his time. George Nader. He had the looks of Rock Hudson and the talent to match, but George Nader made a choice no other leading man dared. He chose love over Hollywood. In the 1950s, Nader was on the brink of superstardom, winning a Golden Globe and starring in adventure films. But he carried a dangerous secret. He was in love with a man. Unlike others who played the studio's game, Nader refused to marry for appearances. He and his partner, Mark Miller, stayed together despite the risks. Then came the ultimatum, his career or his truth. He walked away, turning to writing when Hollywood turned its back on him. Decades later, as his friend Rock Hudson was dying of AIDS, Nader stood by him, unafraid. He may not have been a Hollywood legend, but in the end, he won something greater: freedom. Merv Griffin. He built an empire on entertainment, Jeopardy! And Wheel of Fortune made him one of Hollywood's most powerful men. But Merv Griffin's greatest puzzle was the one he never let the public solve: his own identity. Starting as a big band singer and talk show host, Griffin charmed America with his wit and warmth. Behind the scenes, he carefully guarded his personal life. Rumors followed him, stories of secret relationships, hushed settlements, and lovers hidden from the cameras. But unlike others who were outed or exposed, Griffin played his cards wisely. Even in his final days, he never publicly addressed his sexuality. "I tell my family everything," he once said, "but I don't tell the press." Perhaps for Merv Griffin, the best-kept secret was his own. James Coco. James Coco was a star who never quite fit the mold. A gifted character actor with impeccable comedic timing, he stole scenes in Man of La Mancha and Murder by Death. But Hollywood didn't know what to do with him, especially when it came to his personal life. Openly gay in an era when few dared to be, Coco lived authentically but struggled for leading roles. He was too bold, too different, too unwilling to play by Hollywood's rules. While his talent was undeniable, the industry kept him on the sidelines, offering him supporting roles instead of stardom. Yet Coco never let rejection define him. He kept working, kept making people laugh, and left behind a legacy of brilliant performances. Hollywood may not have fully embraced him, but those who knew him never forgot his warmth, humor, and fearless spirit. Rock Hudson. He was the epitome of 1950s masculinity, the ruggedly handsome star of Giant and Pillow Talk. Women adored him, men wanted to be him, but Rock Hudson was playing the greatest role of his life, hiding who he truly was. Behind the camera, Hudson's world was carefully controlled. His studio arranged dates with actresses, crafted a fake marriage, and silenced whispers of his real love affairs. The illusion worked until it didn't. In 1985, Hudson became the first major celebrity to announce he had AIDS. The world was shocked. Hollywood's greatest leading man was forced to confront the truth in public after decades of hiding. His revelation changed everything, bringing AIDS awareness to the mainstream. In the end, Rock Hudson's legacy wasn't just his films, it was his courage, even when it came too late. The stars we've discussed today couldn't live openly, but their legacies helped change the industry forever. As Katharine Hepburn once said, "If you obey all the rules, you miss all the fun." Click the video appearing now to discover the 20 most gorgeous retro actresses of the 1970s.